Hi there, this is Brett from GameByte.
And this is Vicky from GameByte.
And we are talking about the new Ubisoft VR game, Transference. Now, Transference, for those of you that don't know, is a collaboration between Ubisoft and Elijah Wood's production company, SpectreVision, which just looks like a bit of a creepy, haunted house sort of VR game. Is that the best way to describe it, maybe?
Yeah, pretty much. It's very much exploration. You're looking at the world around you to get hints and puzzles and stuff. It's been compared to like an escape room game, which it very much did feel like. It's more sparse than being in an actual escape room because you've got so much more areas to explore, and the whole game focuses on basically shifting through different perspectives. It's about this kind of digital world that this mad scientist has made about him and his family, and you use the light switches around the apartment to switch between the different perspectives of the family members, and you get different things from each person's perspective that kind of help you progress through the story.
That's cool. So like it's a case of like the dad might not be able to solve one puzzle but the son can, sort of thing, or something like that?
Yeah, kind of. I only knowingly switch between two perspectives, which is kind of like the default one and the perspective of the kid. So in this apartment, like the base one is just very barren and bare, almost like nobody lives there anymore. And then you switch to the kid's perspective, and all of a sudden, like, it's lit up with all these lights on the walls, and he's like scribbled on the walls in places that kind of give you hints as to what's going on. And you can actually hear him having a conversation with his dad about how he's scared about things and how he doesn't like living there anymore. Makes you wonder if like anything's going on between the two of them as well. So you kind of pick up on hints, audio based rather than just visual as well.
Obviously you say different perspectives with the kid and the parent, but is the different perspective, like obviously kids are normally smaller than their parents, so does it make you smaller when you switch to the kid or not?
No, it doesn't. Not that I noticed anyway. I guess the thing about this being a VR game is that I suppose it could do that if it was smooth in how it switched you between the perspectives, but I didn't notice any difference. I'm sure I would have done.
Yeah. So how did you move about? Obviously you said lots of puzzles to do and flip the switches, but do you move about through teleportation, which I know annoys a lot of VR fans, or do you move about in a more traditional manner?
No. I mean, I personally played this sat down rather than room scale. I mean, I own a Vive, so I'm used to playing in room scale. So this is actually quite strange for me. I was playing on an Oculus, so you moved around with the controllers that they have on like the control pad. And you could move like yourself as well, obviously, to look left and right and up and down if you wanted to. But and I'm pretty sure you can play room scale as well if you wanted to. But it wasn't teleportation; it was just straightforward movement.
That's cool. So it will not annoy a lot of VR people then who hate teleportation.
Not at all.
So from the trailers and stuff I saw, I very much got a sort of, I suppose haunted house thing is done a lot, but it reminds me of PT, just because obviously I played PT and I want something like PT to exist as a full game. Have you seen much of PT in the past, when the game that Kojima was making that was going to be Silent Hill, then obviously Kojima left Konami. So they sort of brought back this trend of these haunted house horrors. Does it feel like a sort of generic game, or is it more than that?
I think it's going to end up being more than that, because the way in which it functions is quite unique. Like, to progress through different parts, you've almost got to find these missing digital pieces, which is where the shifting perspectives come in. Like, you start in the normal perspective and you need to get into the apartment, but you can't because like the file's corrupted, the door is missing, so you've got to shift into another perspective to find the doorknob to then put back on the door. And just kind of like seeing all these sort of like code-esque prompts saying so-and-so file is missing or so-and-so file is corrupted, and then kind of seeing like these kind of digital glitches is quite unique, I think, for VR horror.
And obviously that's the thing, that this is the best way to describe this in terms of the genre of VR horror. Is that probably the best way to say what it is?
Somewhat. I definitely get the feeling that you can play this without a headset if you want to. I'm sure it is available to play without a headset if you want to. It definitely enhances the experience to be in a headset, I personally think, because of the the extra immersion that you get, and the fact that you can. It's one of those games where you're picking up objects or examining them, and it's not quite the same if you're not actually physically picking them up yourself. But yeah, definitely in that kind of genre kind of thing.
So is it very much like most VR horror games, very much jump scare, jump scare, jump scare, or is it a bit more smarter than that?
I'd say it's smarter. I mean, I only played probably about 15 minutes of gameplay. There were no jump scares except for one right at the end, and even then I wouldn't go as far as to call it a jump scare because it didn't jump out of nowhere. You saw this kind of glitching creature come at you slowly, so it was kind of more of it made you feel scared rather than it suddenly got you, which I personally prefer. I've always found jump scares to be quite cheap in games like this. Obviously, if a game evolves entirely around a jump scare mechanic, that can be different, but in games like this, where it's very much sort of like narrative and story based, I think it's much smarter to kind of build up the fear gradually like that, rather than just have it all pay off in one instance of a couple of seconds and then it's over with.
And I suppose like Elijah Wood, obviously from The Hobbit and various other films and stuff like that, but he's worked across a variety of genres, so he knows sort of what works with these sort of genres, so it's nice to sort of see him bringing his knowledge from the film medium and putting it into video games. I know he's obviously helped out in video games in the past, but it's always interesting when Hollywood actors decide to make the switch. And does this seem like it's going to be one of the better Hollywood actor sort of experiences?
I'd certainly hope so. I mean, I'm quite excited about this game based on the small preview that I played. I haven't actually played that many horror games in VR, just because I'm one of those people that doesn't actually like jump scares that much. So I'm very excited to play a game that's more... It's still got that horror element to it without just being jump scare, jump scare, jump scare. So I definitely think that really shows. I definitely think this is going to be a game that is driven by the narrative rather than just the fact that it's a horror game, come and get scared kind of thing.
And obviously if you are wanting to play the game, I believe it's out in September is the full release, so it'll be out at some point in September, and there's already a demo on, I believe, PlayStation and a few other platforms where you can play a version of the game which isn't the demo you played. It's completely different, is my understanding.
Yeah, no, as far as I'm aware, the demo is a standalone experience. It kind of captures the same kind of feeling without actually being Transference itself. So it's definitely worth going and checking out if you want to kind of get a preview as to this kind of thing. But the actual game, I've been told, is going to be different.
Yeah, so yeah, make sure to check out the demo, and if you've enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe, turning on that notification button, and tell your friends and tell us in the comments if you want to see more of this kind of video. But until next time, I've been Brett from GameByte.
I've been Vicky from GameByte.
And you've been wonderful. Goodbye.